Hey everyone, it's Miss Lau here. I wanted to do a video instead of writing a long email to talk about an upcoming project that we will be starting on at the end of January. It is a long continuum of time that will we'll finish the project by April 18th, which is actually open house. And so it is a type of project called project-based learning. It is much more in-depth, student-driven for their topics, open-ended in terms of answers, and they get to create a project of their own design to display all of the learning that they did. So the very open-ended question that I'm asking the students is, how did California's gold rush impact California's past, present, and future? And so it reflects a long continuum of time. And you can actually see the project-based learning requirements right here. The students will come up with their own topic. And after doing about a week of research, there's going to be a few variety of tasks that they end up doing. One is they write a document-based question essay. It's an informative one because we've been doing two DBQs. They'll do the last one by themselves. They have to research. They give an oral presentation in front of the class and in front of you guys. And then the last one is they have to create a visual aid of some sort that assists them in their oral presentation to display their findings. Each of the kids' research topics are created by themselves. It can't be one that is a simple Googled answer. They have to come up with an answer that causes them to think and reflect on all of the research that they're looking for. So as you can see, it is a little bit more in depth as to the types of projects they might have been used to in the past. So just from doing this with my class last year, it was one of the highlights of the entire year, but also one of the most challenging projects. And so because it was a continuum of time after the gold rush, many of my students they found very similar interests. And so I'm going to show you a few pictures to kind of guide you guys. And so the first one, oh, this is actually from last year. If I can find this one. Okay. You guys can pause the video whenever you're at, and you can kind of look through some of these are the questions that the students had. And it reflects an entire timeline from right after the gold rush. And this is some students' interests. And as you can see, all of these questions, if you pause the video and you read them, they aren't able to be answered by a yes or no question. So they're going to have to think a little bit more about it. To this next picture, here's another one. And so it ended up all the way up to World War II, and many of my students had a lot of interest with World War II and just the cultures and also the injustice done to various cultures during that time period. And perhaps it also might be some of my own influence. I taught at a Jewish private day school in Irvine for about 7 or 8 years, and so it's something that is of a particular soft and very sweet spot for me, but also it's something that I'm quite well versed on. And added on to the fact that we've been learning, a big theme we've been learning all throughout this year is just how are some groups of people given various forms of injustice, but how are they able to arise beyond that and keep moving forward, and how did that shape our history as to what it is today? And so a key figure that I brought in last week for Read Across America is this person named Eddie Hoffman. And I found him on the news. It was Eddie and Evelyn Hoffman. This does actually come from our social studies book about various injustices and stereotypes and prejudices done towards various groups of people. Eddie Hoffman is a Holocaust survivor, and actually he's a Holocaust survivor from the Auschwitz camp. So is his wife, Evelyn. And so while they're 10 years apart in age, they came to read a book to our class and did kind of a Q&A with them. So riding on the coattails of that, I decided to do a very voluntary but highly suggested field trip to the Museum of Tolerance last year. This was completely organized by my parent volunteers, and at first there was quite a bit of skepticism amongst all the parents. And as you can imagine, if you've heard about the Museum of Tolerance, it is a lot more of a more geared for more of a mature audience. And there are some exhibits in there that are highly sensitive. And so I ask that if you decide to end up going with us, and we're opting for the date of March 3rd, Angela and Judy are on top of it to try to nail that date down. If you do end up going with us, please make sure you are there, and there will be certain exhibits that are more sensitive, and I'll ask that you are there to accompany our kids. And so while it might be interesting to say, well, why is it just specifically the Holocaust? There are much bigger themes here in going to this Museum of Tolerance, in that we are trying to teach the kids all around about tolerating and accepting different cultures, but also to see, in a sense, why history sometimes repeats itself over and over again, and how are we able to combat those themes. And so these are big topics that even we as adults will discuss. And so the findings and the oral presentations that the kids did were remarkable. And so ended up being a great success with our students last year. Many of them, as you can see in some of these pictures, they ended up bringing journals, because um, a lot of these kids chose some of these topics geared around World War II and anti-Semitism, prejudices, stereotypes, and that was their research topic. So they brought journals to take notes on. I haven't completely introduced the topic yet, but I will very shortly. Here's a picture of Eddie Hoffman. And then we can see here, there's a picture of our students giving oral presentations. All the parents were sitting in the back. But these are some of the visual aids that the students ended up creating, and they displayed it during our open house, which for this year it's on April 18th. More details will be following, but I highly suggest that if you are available on that date, it is Sunday, March 3rd, to come out and join us. I'm sure you guys as parents can arrange carpooling amongst yourselves, but it would be a really good learning opportunity. I know there's a little bit of skepticism, and I get it. We are going to ask that you not bring younger children, but if you have older children that would like to come, totally great. We were able to organize to have docents to guide us through some of those exhibits, because it is more than just the Holocaust, but it is more on topics that we'll be reading about in our books. It just so happens, that this is a key event and an example to go along with it. And many of the parents that went last year, yes, they were a little questioning of the whole thing, but after they went, they all were like, I totally understand why you brought us here, and thank you for this learning opportunity. I didn't expect that I would get so much out of it. So yeah, mark your calendars if you're able to come out. March 3rd, that's a Sunday, and it's the Museum of Tolerance in LA. Thanks so much for watching this from the beginning up until the end, and thank you so much for your support this year so far. It's been a great year. I can't believe it's coming so close to an end already. It's already January, but the year's going to fly by. So take care, and talk to you guys soon. Bye.